Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. In the solitude of these past few months, your person has been relentlessly consumed by an aching, profound sense of sadness and regret. The weight of it has grown so heavy that it has become impossible for them to ignore. All due to the ever-widening silence that now stretches between you both. This silence, which began as a small crack, has slowly transformed into an overwhelming gulf that now feels impossible to cross. It serves as a painful, unyielding reminder of the connection that once flourished between you two, an unbreakable bond that now feels like a distant memory. So, don't click away, stay with me. You're here for a reason, and what you do in the next few minutes could change everything. Before we dive deeper, do these 3 things to lock in this moment. Smash that like button, hit subscribe. We're charging toward 10,000 chosen ones and every soul counts. And drop 99 in the comments. Why 99? It's the number of divine alignment and spiritual awakening. Your way of saying, I'm in God. In their deepest reflections, they have come to recognize that their own choices, driven by cowardice, insecurity, and selfishness, have played a pivotal role in causing this divide. They have allowed their own fears and weaknesses to carve out a space between you, where once there was only closeness and understanding. Looking back, they now see how their actions unintentionally distorted the dynamic of your relationship, making it feel as if it was one-sided, leaving you to carry the emotional weight alone, while they retreated into their own world of uncertainties and insecurities. As they sit with these painful realizations, the enormity of their mistakes becomes clearer with each passing day. The separation has become more than just an absence of words or shared moments. It has become a glaring mirror reflecting the deep emotional turmoil they caused you. The lack of your presence, the absence of the warmth and unwavering support you always gave so freely, has left a hollow, aching void in both of your lives. They can no longer deny that their selfish actions were not just isolated lapses in judgment, but a betrayal of the deep affection you extended to them, a betrayal of the trust and care you offered without hesitation. This understanding has ignited a fire within them, one of painful self-examination that burns brighter with each memory of their neglect. Every moment they failed you, every time they put their own fears above your needs now weighs heavily on their soul. They feel a deep, gnawing guilt that won't let them rest. And they now see the true extent of the damage they caused. A damage that has seeped into both your lives in ways they never imagined. But the most striking realization has come in the form of how they see you now, and how their feelings toward you have evolved in ways they never expected. It's not just the undeniable physical beauty that has always drawn them in, though your appearance continues to captivate them with effortless grace. It's not even the way you command attention, radiating an undeniable presence that leaves an indelible mark on everyone around you. No. It's something deeper, something more profound, the quiet, unshakable strength that emanates from within you, the gentle yet powerful energy that surrounds you and leaves an unforgettable impression on everyone you encounter. They recall the countless moments when your presence acted as a balm, soothing their soul in times of chaos and uncertainty. You were always a steady, unwavering force, a calming presence in a world that often felt out of control. With you, the world felt more manageable, more grounded, You were the source of a quiet strength that they now see was the true pillar of your connection, a beacon of hope and stability that they had once taken for granted. In the clarity of this realization, they are now overcome with an overwhelming sense of remorse. They see, with heartbreaking clarity, that your energy, the very thing that they once relied on so effortlessly, was a rare and beautiful gift. It was not something to be taken lightly, nor was it something to be ignored. Yet, in their selfishness and blindness, they allowed themselves to overlook it, to treat it as something that would always be there, not realizing the preciousness of what they had until it was too late. Now, as they reflect on all of this, their regret has deepened, not just because they lost the connection you once shared, but because they failed to recognize the magnitude of what you offered them. Not just your love, but your strength, your care, and your unwavering presence. The quiet, profound way you made the world feel right again. It's a realization that cuts them to the core, leaving them with a deep ache that seems impossible to fill. But even in their sorrow, they are left with a newfound appreciation for the rare beauty that is you, a beauty that transcends the surface and touches something much deeper, something they now long for, with a desperation they can't quite express. As they sit in the stillness of their own thoughts, the depth of their embarrassment and regret hits them like a wave. They are overwhelmed when they reflect on how they failed to reciprocate the love and devotion you so freely poured into them. They can recall vividly the countless days when you bared your soul, offering not just affection, but an unwavering sense of safety, comfort, and belonging that very few can truly provide. You became their sanctuary, the steady force in their life that promised a love unlike any other. You gave them everything, your heart, your time, your trust, expecting nothing more than the same in return. Yet, tragically, they were too blinded by their own pride, their inflated sense of self-worth, and their stubbornness to see the immense value in the gift you were offering. You gave with the purest intentions, expecting only love and care, and they, lost in their own arrogance, failed to recognize it for what it truly was. Looking back, every memory stings like a fresh wound. They now see that while you were pouring yourself into the relationship, offering your unconditional love, and giving more than you ever expected to receive, they allowed your light to fade from their life. Your presence, once so cherished, became something they took for granted. The warmth and affection you freely offered were overlooked, leaving them to let go of the very thing they now realize was irreplaceable. They now know that the love you gave was a rare and precious thing, something that could never have been duplicated or replaced. And the weight of that realization is enough to leave them reeling with shame and regret. Since the separation, a relentless yearning has taken root in their heart, one that they can't shake no matter how hard they try. A longing for the very essence of what you once shared. They find themselves haunted by the painful truth that we often don't recognize the true value of something until it's no longer a part of our lives. Every quiet moment, every pause in the chaos of their day serves as a reminder of the warmth, comfort, and unwavering support you gave so freely. The absence of that love has left a void that feels impossible to fill. They've come to understand with painful clarity that the things we cherish most often reveal their worth only after they're taken from us, often by forces outside of our control, forces they couldn't have anticipated. And now they're left to navigate a world without the thing they valued most. And the emptiness of that loss is almost unbearable. As they try to come to terms with the aftermath of their actions, the truth of their mistakes hits them like a hammer. Their ego, their pride, those were the very forces that caused the downfall of what was once something beautiful. They see now, with gut-wrenching clarity, that their misguided attempts to assert control and provoke jealousy only served to undermine the deep and authentic love you were offering. In their effort to elevate themselves, to assert dominance in the relationship, they failed to see the destruction they were causing. They see how their own insecurities and selfishness led them to push you away, even when you were offering your heart without hesitation. The realization of this betrayal weighs heavily on them. Every time they think back to the mistakes they made, to the decisions that caused pain, the guilt is almost too much to bear. This self-inflicted wound, the one they caused through their own actions, cuts deeper than any other. They created with their pride and foolishness a wound that has left them trapped in a maze of regret. The journey back from here is not an easy one, but they are painfully aware that they are the ones who set this course in motion. It is a journey that forces them to face the reality of their own mistakes, to come face to face with the fact that their actions, driven by ego and fear, not only destroyed the trust and love you shared, but also dismantled something they will never be able to replace. Yet, even in the midst of this painful realization, there is a flicker of growth. Slowly, bit by bit, they are starting to see things differently. They're beginning to understand that true love is not about taking, not about asserting power or control. It's about balance, giving and receiving, nurturing and respecting one another. They now see that your unwavering commitment to the relationship was a reflection of the love you had to offer, and they now understand with heartbreaking clarity that love doesn't thrive on pride or selfishness, but on mutual respect, communication, and a willingness to be vulnerable. The commitment you once showed them, the way you gave without hesitation, stands as a stark reminder of what they failed to appreciate. It's now a mirror that reflects their own shortcomings, revealing the ways in which they fell short, the ways in which they neglected the love they were given. They now see that relationships thrive not on dominance, not on controlling the other person, but on seeing each other's worth and honoring it. They understand now that love grows when both people are able to be open, when they can communicate openly and honestly without fear or pride getting in the way. The absence of these elements, the lack of vulnerability, the failure to communicate openly, the refusal to acknowledge and honor each other's worth, has not only left scars on the bond you once shared, but also on their soul. They know that they've lost something irreplaceable, something beautiful, and the pain of that loss is now a constant companion. Through this long period of painful reflection, they've begun to learn the most important lesson of all, that love is a delicate, fragile thing that needs to be nurtured, respected, and cared for. It cannot survive on pride, selfishness, or fear. It only thrives when both people give of themselves, when they're willing to be vulnerable, when they are willing to see each other's worth and to cherish it. The absence of those things in your relationship has left them with a deep, unhealable wound, a wound that will always remind them of what they lost. At this critical juncture in their life, your person finds themselves tangled between the two powerful forces of regret and hope. They stand at a crossroads, unsure whether there is still time to make things right, yet painfully aware that some losses are beyond repair. The absence of your presence haunts them in ways they never could have anticipated. Each day feels heavier as the echo of your absence amplifies the silent accusations they place upon themselves for all the ways they failed you. The remorse they carry grows deeper with every passing moment, driving home the painful lesson they are only just starting to understand. Sometimes it takes losing something incredibly valuable to truly recognize its worth. The dream of rekindling the love and warmth you once shared is a fragile thread they cling to. But it's a dream laced with the bittersweet knowledge that pride and neglect were the forces that destroyed it. In the quiet space between their thoughts, your person now stands, forever altered, humbled by the weight of their actions and the consequences they never fully grasped until now. Their heart yearns for redemption, but they fear that some wounds run so deep they may never heal. Still, amidst the overwhelming sorrow, they're slowly beginning to understand a profound truth. Growth is born from the harshest lessons, and the value of genuine, unconditional love is immeasurable, a gift they now realize they can never take for granted again. For years, I was consumed by the relentless drive to be liked. I spent endless hours molding myself to fit into every social group, pretending to be someone I wasn't, just to earn the approval of others. The pressure to conform was constant, and it left me feeling drained, empty, and disconnected from my true self. No matter how much effort I put in, no matter how many masks I wore, I eventually realized that the only person I could truly rely on, the one who would always be there for me, was myself. This realization hit me like a thunderclap, and in that moment, everything shifted. It was clear that I needed to stop living for others and start living for me. My worth could no longer be dictated by their opinions. At first, choosing myself felt like a radical act of self-preservation, a quiet rebellion against the constant external validation I had spent my life chasing. It was liberating, but also incredibly challenging. I had spent so much of my life shaping my personality, suppressing my emotions, and adopting behaviors that weren't truly mine, all in the desperate pursuit of belonging. Every day had felt like a performance, a never-ending cycle of trying to outshine others just to feel worthy of love and acceptance. The race to meet an ever-shifting standard of what I should be was exhausting, and the finish line always seemed to move further away, no matter how fast I ran. I realized, too late, that this chase for approval had only left me more disconnected from who I really was. The person I had become in my pursuit of acceptance was not me at all. I had learned to wear masks, to pretend, to perform, to be everything that everyone else wanted me to be. But in doing so, I lost sight of the one thing that mattered most, myself. The realization was painful, but it was also the key to unlocking a new chapter of my life. I had to stop living for others and start living for me. I needed to focus on my own well-being and learn to trust that I was enough just as I am. As I embarked on this journey of self-discovery, I found freedom in prioritizing my own needs, desires, and values over the approval of others. It wasn't always easy. Old habits died hard, and the temptation to fall back into old patterns of people-pleasing often lingered. But each time I chose myself, I felt a little lighter, a little more like the person I was always meant to be. The walls I had built around my true self began to crumble, and in their place, I discovered an authenticity I hadn't known in years. I no longer felt the need to perform, to fit into molds that weren't made for me. I began to live more truthfully, embracing who I was with all my flaws and imperfections. In doing so, I finally began to feel at peace. Amidst the unrelenting pursuit of external validation, I found myself trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and confusion, constantly striving to meet the expectations of others while slowly losing sight of who I truly was. I was caught in a never-ending race for approval, convincing myself that I could only be valuable if others saw me as worthy. But it became clear over time that the more I sought approval, the further I drifted from the person I was meant to be. Every interaction, every moment became a performance, and I lost touch with the authenticity that once defined me. The self-doubt only deepened the disconnection I felt from my authentic self. It was as if I was caught in a storm, unable to find shelter or clarity. In an attempt to find relief from the chaos of my own mind, I began turning to simple pleasures. These brief moments of indulgence, whether in food, distractions, or fleeting experiences, served as a temporary escape from the overwhelming pressure of life. They became my safe space, offering comfort when everything around me felt too loud, too fast, too demanding. For a while, they seemed like the perfect way to quiet the noise in my head. I could numb myself to the inner turmoil and, for a brief moment, feel at peace. But what started as a harmless way to cope soon spiraled into something more dangerous. These moments of indulgence turned into habits that began to take over my life. They were my crutches, the things I leaned on when I didn't know how to stand on my own. But with each passing day, I could feel their hold tightening. The comfort they offered was only temporary. And deep down, I knew that they were preventing me from reaching true happiness. Yet the thought of letting them go felt impossible. How could I face the world without them? How could I face myself without the comfort they provided? And then something unexpected happened. I met you. From the very first moment we crossed paths, I felt a shift, a deep, calming change in the air around me. It was as if the universe had cleared the fog, and I could finally see with clarity. You weren't like anyone else I had known. While others around me seemed consumed by their own self-interest or were trapped in the pursuit of shallow desires, you stood out. You carried yourself with such effortless grace, a quiet strength that I couldn't ignore. There was no pretense, no need to impress, just an authentic, radiant energy that drew me in. You didn't demand anything from me. You didn't try to change me or force me into a mold. You simply existed. And in your presence, I felt something shift inside of me. Spending time with you was like a revelation. It was as if I was seeing the world through a new lens, clearer, brighter, more honest. The way you lived, free from the need for validation or the crutches I had relied on, stirred something within me. It was as if you held up a mirror and reflected back a version of myself I had long forgotten. I started to realize that the life I had been chasing, the endless pursuit of approval and comfort, was nothing more than a series of distractions keeping me from the life I truly wanted. I had been searching for external validation, but it was only in your presence that I realized that the peace and fulfillment I sought could never come from anyone else. It had to come from within. With every moment spent with you, I began to confront the habits I had relied on for so long, the distractions, the dependencies, the ways I had been numbing myself to avoid facing the truth. I saw that these temporary comforts had never healed the deeper wounds inside of me. They had merely masked them. You showed me that true beauty and strength come from within, not from the approval of others or the distractions we use to escape. I began to understand that the only way to find lasting peace was to shed the layers of pretense I had built up over the years. I'd been living for others, trying to be someone I wasn't in order to fit in, to be accepted. But in your presence, I started to feel a shift. I wanted to be true to myself, not for anyone else, but for me. Reflecting on everything that had led me to this point, I realized how much I had been hiding behind masks, how much I had sacrificed my own happiness for the sake of fitting in. The pressure to conform had created a version of myself that wasn't authentic, and I had let it define me for far too long. But meeting you was a turning point. You became the catalyst for my transformation. You showed me that I didn't need to chase approval or rely on distractions to feel good about myself. I didn't need to perform or pretend to be someone I wasn't. I could simply be me, and that was enough. I didn't need to pretend to be someone I wasn't. What I needed was to reconnect with who I truly was, without fear, without apologies, and without the need for external validation. This realization sparked something in me, a desire to rediscover my own strength, my own truth. I began to dismantle the habits that had held me captive for so long, replacing them with practices that nurtured my inner peace and authenticity. No longer would I hide behind false expectations. No longer would I allow myself to be defined by the opinions of others. I would be true to myself, and in doing so I would find the peace and happiness I had been seeking all along. Looking back now, I understand that meeting you was not a coincidence. It was the moment that everything began to shift. You were the gentle reminder I needed that true fulfillment isn't found in the approval of others or in the distractions we use to avoid ourselves. It's found in embracing our authentic selves, in living truthfully and unapologetically. Today I strive to live a life rooted in self-reliance, authenticity, and inner peace. I no longer seek approval from others or hide behind distractions. I am free to be who I am, to live my truth, and to walk my own path, and I owe it all to the profound shift you brought into my life. You taught me that genuine happiness doesn't come from seeking validation. It comes from loving and accepting ourselves fully and living with the courage to be true to who we really are. Through every chapter of my life, through every twist and turn, I've learned lessons I never imagined I would. The experiences I've encountered, the people I've met, the moments of doubt and triumph, they've all brought me to a place of deep understanding about what truly matters in life. Looking back, I realize how much my perception of love and self has evolved, and how immensely grateful I am for your presence in this journey. Not only have you played a vital role in my personal growth, but you've also been the catalyst that helped me uncover truths about love, life, and the very essence of what it means to exist. For this, my gratitude toward you is immeasurable. There is also a profound sense of thanks that I feel to the universe for bringing us together in the most serendipitous of ways, as if our meeting was part of a greater divine plan meant to steer us toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. From the moment we crossed paths, something inside of me shifted. An unmistakable, undeniable transformation began. I found myself growing in ways that I had always hoped for, but never fully understood until now. This transformation hasn't been just about the time we spent together. It's been just as much about the spaces between us, the times we were apart, and the quiet moments where I had to reflect on who I was becoming. Those moments of separation brought their own hardships and heartaches, yes, but they were absolutely necessary for our journey. That time apart wasn't just about physical distance, it was about emotional space, giving us both the chance to heal and reflect. It was in those moments of solitude that I truly began to see how much stronger we would be when we came back together. And when we did, it was as though we were both ready to form something that was built not just on love, but on deep mutual understanding, respect, and a connection that was now more profound than before. During that time apart, I realized that the distance between us wasn't merely a separation. It was a gift. It was an invitation for me to look inward, to question everything I had ever known about love and life. It wasn't comfortable, but it was essential. I was forced to dig deep into myself, to confront parts of me I had long neglected. And through this painful self-reflection, I began to understand not just who I wanted to be as an individual, but who I wanted to be as your partner. It became crystal clear to me that this period of introspection wasn't just a fleeting phase. It was a crucial part of our growth, individually and together. I believe that the deeper love we share today is a result of this time apart, this time spent understanding ourselves better and realizing what truly matters. As I reflect on the journey that led me to you, I realize how lost I was before I met you. I was surrounded by people who appeared to have everything: the wealth, the fame, the social approval, the outward image of a perfect life. But even then, I felt a deep emptiness within me, something I couldn't put into words. As I grew older, I began to see through the facade of it all. I started to understand that the world, as it's often portrayed, is built on shallow pursuits. Many people around me seemed to lack authenticity, choosing to follow the conventional paths of chasing status, wealth, and approval, while losing sight of what truly matters. For so long, I mimicked what I saw in others, thinking that if I could just achieve what they had, if I could fit into their world, then I would find happiness too. And then you entered my life. From the very first moment we met, there was something undeniable about you, something completely different, something extraordinary. While the world around me was consumed with chasing wealth, status, and fleeting pleasures, you embodied something far more authentic and rare. You exuded a quiet strength and a profound sense of self that instantly captivated me. You weren't driven by the same external goals that seemed to occupy everyone else. You lived for something deeper, something truer, and that quality drew me in like nothing I had ever experienced before. In your presence, I found a kind of peace I didn't know I was searching for. You didn't demand anything of me. There were no expectations, no judgments. You were simply yourself, beautifully, authentically, and effortlessly. In you, I found the freedom to stop chasing after validation, to stop living according to the whims and judgments of others. You helped me see that true fulfillment doesn't come from external achievements or the approval of the world. It comes from embracing one's own truth, from living with authenticity, and from understanding that real success is found in the alignment of who we are on the inside with how we choose to live in the world. Your presence challenged me in the best possible way. You made me realize that I had been living under the weight of societal expectations for far too long. The external validation I had craved was nothing more than a hollow pursuit, a fleeting sense of satisfaction that never lasted. It was you who showed me that the only validation worth seeking is the one that comes from within, the quiet acceptance of who we truly are. You taught me that happiness is not an end goal to be achieved through external accomplishments. It is a journey, a process of self-discovery, and a commitment to living in alignment with our truest self. Since meeting you, my life has been forever changed. I am no longer bound by the need for external approval, and I no longer feel the pressure to fit into a mold that isn't mine. I am learning to live in authenticity, to trust in my own path, and to embrace the beauty of self-love. I have let go of the false persona I once clung to in order to please others. Instead, I've begun the journey of becoming the person I've always been underneath it all, the person who can stand proudly in their own truth. Meeting you was not just a moment in time, it was the moment that sparked an irreversible shift in me. It was the beginning of a journey towards self-realization, one that I never could have imagined, but now could never take back. You've taught me that true love, true happiness, and true success all come from within. They come from embracing who we are unapologetically and living a life that is fully aligned with our deepest truths. And for that, I will always be grateful. When I gaze into your eyes, I see someone who values the essence of life rather than its surface. You are a person who understands that true fulfillment doesn't come from what we accumulate or the shallow measures of success, but from the depth of our character and the connections we nurture with others. This realization has been an awakening, one that's allowed me to shed all the layers of pretense and falsehoods I once clung to. Embracing this newfound authenticity has unlocked a version of myself I never fully knew before, a version that feels whole and free. Through your influence, I now see the world in all its magnificent complexity, learning to cherish its imperfections and understanding the profound, transformative power of love. Reflecting on the path we've traveled together, I realize how every high and every low, every joy and every hardship has shaped me in ways I never could have anticipated. Each moment we shared, no matter how challenging, has been an integral part of my growth, guiding me toward a deeper understanding of what love truly is, of what faith really means, and of what it takes to evolve as a person. The depth of my gratitude to God for bringing us together is immeasurable, for He gave me the opportunity not just to meet you, but to learn from you, to heal with you, and to ultimately become the person I was meant to be. Our meeting wasn't a mere accident, it was a divine moment, carefully orchestrated to help us evolve into the people we're destined to become. As we continue on this journey together, I am filled with a quiet confidence about the future. I know that the time we've spent apart has only made our bond stronger, and that our connection is built on something solid, authenticity, resilience, and love that has been tested and has emerged even more powerful. I stand ready to embrace whatever the future holds, knowing that every challenge we face will only deepen our relationship and propel us forward into even greater realms of understanding, compassion, and connection. I look to the horizon with hope and excitement, anticipating the ways our shared experiences will continue to shape and transform us. The love we have is one that will grow and evolve with us, and I truly believe it will take us to places we've never imagined, places of joy, strength, and mutual fulfillment. Our bond is a continuous journey of discovery, self-reflection, and endless love, and I am beyond excited to walk it with you, knowing that the best parts of our story are still yet to come.